What's going on, y'all? It's Rev, and welcome back to another Dauntless video. Today is a very special episode of the playthrough. This is the first time we're going to be doing Escalation. We're going to be doing the entire Escalation with Aether Strikers. And so let's talk a little bit about Escalation before we hop on in. To get prepared, Escalation is a game mode where you take one set of consumables and one set of gear with no changes, no refreshers or anything, up against a gauntlet of, I believe, let's see, 1, 3, 4, 6 behemoths. And some of them you'll be fighting 2 at a time. There are 2 fights where you'll be fighting 2 behemoths at the same time. And so we want the best survivability odds, that we can. And so that is why the Nasher gear is particularly strong. I am going to be running a loadout like this. I'm going to be running the Drask helmet and 3 pieces of the Rage Tail gear. I'm going to be running my Aether Strikers. I have the Stalker Scorn with at +7. Now keep in mind, Elemental Affinity is going to be kind of a hit or miss. I'm going to put in this 3 Wild Frenzy, even though I don't think I'll be able to put much use to it. I want my Overpower back. I have no Overpower currently. The Aether Strikers are a blunt weapon, which means I'll be knocking stuff out. Now, we have some tough, but I know, as a fact, we have +3 tough, but look at the jump up from 3 to 4. I get 50 health at level 1, an additional 50 at level 2, and an additional 50 at level 3, but it jumps up by 10% and 100 health at +4. So the more tough I can get in the later levels, the more, it kind of snowballs. And so this is something that I haven't done particularly too often, but let's use some of our resources. We've been getting a lot of ace chips from the cell vendor, and I have a cell cooking right now. You always find something to utilize this slot for, because it costs nothing except for your time, but we also have our ace chips. And so I put in a +1 and +1 overpower, and I'm just going to speed it up. Let's grab it. We got an additional +2 overpower. That's great. Now, my logic behind this is, well, now I have an additional +2 overpower, and we have quite a bit of them. So I could upgrade to a +3 overpower if I wanted to, but I know I have 2 +1 tough cells. Got this. It's in the Nasher cloak, which is totally fine because I'm going to speed it up again. Let's grab this +2 tough and throw it in our gear. We're utilizing the resources that the game is giving us. So, I mean, look at our build. It's not bad, right? We have 5 Rage Hunter, 5 Wild Frenzy. I don't know if I'm going to be able to utilize this, but there might be a perk in Escalation that's going to help me along the way. Now, one thing I didn't mention in Escalation is that at the end of every behemoth hunt, you're going to get a random buff to choose from. And we'll go over those more once we're in the moment. But how risky am I? I'm going to get this started because I want a +3 overpower cell ASAP. I'm losing some in the Escalation, but that's okay. Now, in 1 day, 21 hours, I don't have a lot of ace chips anymore. So this is going to just have to suffice, right? I'll just wait that out. That's totally fine. Let's find something else to put in our... Oh, I guess we did have an additional one. So that's nice. Just want to confirm that I do. That's not a bug. Because I wouldn't put it past the game. Things like that have happened before, but anyway, I'm not going to think about it. We'll happen to mosey on along into Escalation, and let's talk a little bit more about Escalation once we get into it. The first thing to know is, you know, we're gonna get in there and we're gonna fight a behemoth like normal. That behemoth is gonna be weaker, but once we get in and after we defeat it, that's when the escalation kind of starts to take place. So let's get on into it. All right, we have landed. The first thing you'll notice, brand new map, right? On the right, you can see what we're up against. We're up against Nezaga, Escalation level 1, and it has the modifier weak spot. Now, as we go through Escalation, there's going to be new modifiers. There's going to be, you know, dire behemoths as we go into the harder levels. And, I mean, this is a gauntlet, right? It's going to be getting harder as we ascend. The better I perform, the more points I'm going to get at the end of it. And the points are that one in the bigger circle of the where it shows my danger meter. And I just realized that the danger meter is something I've never really talked about, which is something I'll have to talk about whilst I'm not fighting. But there we go, got that break. I think the strikers are gonna beat the stuffing out of this Nezaga. We've fought Nezaga before. We're not too scared. Now, the weak spot is going to take additional damage. But notice how it has a lightning bolt. And unfortunately, we're fighting a behemoth that is shock. But once it explodes, it actually stuns it and deals additional damage, which is nice. After I destroyed that weak spot, it actually just killed Nezaga outright. So that's one behemoth down. And so we're going to go to this lodestone and pick an amp that we're going to use in the next hunt. Every time you pick an amp, you get passively stronger, but you also get this. I'm going to take Pact of Might because I like it. For the next encounter, take 20% more damage, but afterwards deal 20% more damage. Ooh, Mender's Gift might be useful here, but I'm feeling saucy. I'm feeling risky. There are some survivability options. I still have all my, you know, my tonics from my Koshai hunts. I can already see Boreas, which makes me sad. And we got Charog. I'm going to focus on Charog, I think. So this is a dual behemoth hunt, the first time you'll ever see it, and the only time you'll ever see dual behemoth hunts is in Escalation. I'm going to be trying to get my mantras up on my Aether Hunter, or on my Aether Strikers, Aether Hunters. A fun thing that you can do in Aether Strikers on Escalation in these dual hunts is actually dot up both with Karma Breaker. Dang, that I might actually go for Boreas here. I'm getting hecka breaks. So this game mode is kind of like a hyperbolic time chamber of Dauntless. You get a ton of breaks. The behemoths are, for the most part, you know, they're going to be pretty weak in the earlier levels in the easy mode. I keep using Karma Breaker because I'm a dingus. And Boreas is already dead. When there are two behemoths, they are weaker. The behemoths will be weaker, but you know, you still need to be careful, right? But I am putting in work on these parts. And I'm, you know, Overpower is actually getting a lot of uptime here. If you are able to get in the damage and dodge appropriately. We got our attack speed aura from the lantern. I just punched its tail off. Fist of the North Star style. I don't know why I didn't dodge there. Karma Breaker actually just got a break for me to slow it down so I can catch up. And this should be a dead Charog here after I Kamehameha its face off. All right, we good. We were taking additional damage there. If you were attentive, the buff Pact of Might, the dagger with the heart, was actually red, but now it's activated, and so I'm dealing 20% damage for the rest of the run. I am going to take Torrent Shield here because Torrent Shield is very good. Using your Lantern Hold ability, anytime I activate my Shrike Lantern aura, I'm going to get 150 health shields. Now, that was a dual behemoth hunt. We're up against Drask. We have a new modifier, Static Shock and Umbral Instability. Umbral Instability is actually something from a late game behemoth, and I'm surprised that it's actually in this early levels, but I'll show them as they show up. Static Shock is going to create circles on the ground, much like a raid or, you know, in an MMO, the telegraphs in an MMO, which is a very welcome change to Dauntless. One of my favorite modifiers, personally. You can see I got my shield from activating my aura, which is very cool. Going for those part breaks. So this is Umbral Instability. I'm just gonna... Got Nazaga pylons from Static Shock, and this orb doesn't do anything, but if it detonates, it leaves you at 1 HP once it hits you, which can be scary. It even goes through shields. So that is Umbral Instability. Laser to the tail. I'm getting bullied by pylons. Oh, my life points. I'm getting a little greedy here, but I'm not going to be talking about behemoth fights because, I mean, when you go into Escalation, it's going to test your knowledge, right? But the game mode itself, the behemoths are easier in this easier, you know, in the easier mode. We're fighting 6 of them, so rightfully so, right? These are a lot of pylons. Oh my goodness. I can't break them. All right, we're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Just dodging. Oh no, Drask. This is when I should be using my potions, but Revvy's a little greedy. And I say, sit down. Destroying those, actually, I should have mentioned this. Destroying those red crystal pylons, unlike Nazaga pylons, you'll be able to get a stacking buff, similar to Boreas Sprite's buff. Executioner. And it will give you some additional damage per hit. So we got, what is that? Winterhorn and regular Nasher. So realistically, we should probably go for the weak link, right? This is a behemoth that we've never fought before, but we'll go over Winterhorn in a more... It's a very quick behemoth, very brutal behemoth, actually. It's one of my least favorite fights, so we'll talk about it a little bit more in a solo scenario, I think. Now, you can see that I used Karma Breaker once, but I actually hit both. And that's a very nice thing that you can do with the Aether Strikers in this game mode, is you can get collateral damage with Karma Breaker and apply the dot to both. At, you know, you get a 2-for-1 special. Not really concerned about normal Nasher. Want to get this KO. Got it. Unfortunately, I'm just really not able to get my third mantra, so I can I actually lost my mantras. That's how long it took me. I tried to hit both of them with the beam and ended up hitting none. So it can get a little chaotic in solo. I don't recommend doing this solo. You know, help your fellow community members out and have some fun playing with them. Escalation is definitely more fun with more people, in my opinion. My modifier here was all those extra Boreas ads fly in. Bombers. That is the Bombers modifier on the right. Kaboom! Love me some Aether Strikers. They're a lot of fun. Get punched on, and that's the end of our Escalation run once we use this lodestone. So we have a 13 at the top. I believe that's the maximum amount that we can get. But the amount of XP that you get, and we'll go over the XP after this. The charged Aether, we got almost 400 charged Aether. All of the breaks that we achieved, as well as talent points, which is what the next quest is going to prompt us to get. You can see that we got some mastery. So like I said, this is like the hyperbolic time chamber. It's the training area. This is where we're going to be leveling up a ton. And so the game has opened up even further, right? Look at all this mastery on the right. We got Charog mastery, Drask mastery, Nasher, Boreas, Nazaga, Stagger Drask. Look at all these things. You know, just these are all things we can complete our quests within Escalation. We got weapon mastery. We got all of these part breaks. We are escalating. So let's get back into Ramsgate, and we'll talk a little bit more about the quest line, completing our first Escalation run, and what it means to be doing Escalation. Now, Arkin Drew, the Lantern Crafter, is going to be our guy. He is the Escalation master, so to speak. So we got the quest from him. Things have escalated. We're turning that in. Now it wants you to put in a talent point. Talented individual. Spend 1 talent point. Focus your talents. You can read this if you so choose, but it's pretty much just telling you to go off to the right here. And this is called an LAD, a Lantern Attunement Device. And this is where your talent points are. Now, let's talk about the talent tree a little bit. So, Escalation is a seasonal mode, which means that, you know, right now it's the lightning element. It has already been confirmed that the next element for next season, coming in spring, will be fire, which will be a lot of fun. Now, that means, quite possibly, this has not been confirmed, but I would like to believe that all of these talent trees are seasonal and can be reset. But there are seasonal rewards, and this 5 is the number of talent points that you've achieved within this particular talent tree. And you can't get everything. That's worth knowing. But we've applied our first. I really like this Torrent Shield amp. I think it's the best one out of the first set. So that's where I'm going first, and then I'll probably go squad goals, and eventually I'll have everything. But we'll go over an optimal track as we keep playing. But for right now, go with Torrent Shield. It's very good, and you can see that it goes from 150 to 200, and then from 200 to 300, which is great for when you're using your lantern. If you're using your lantern, which if you're watching this playthrough, hopefully I've trained you to use your lantern a little bit more. At 5, we'll get an additional passive, and this is something that applies to you in Escalation. But let's back out a little bit. And you'll see that we've actually gained a little bit of power. Every time you put in a talent point, you're going to be getting stronger in Escalation, but you'll actually get stronger by, I believe it's 50 power and 50 defense or resistance at max level. So you're going to be doing Escalation not only gets you more parts, makes you stronger in Escalation, gets you all the cosmetic rewards that are at the end, which is something that I've been filming a lot of videos in. We have a unique behemoth at the top of the hard version of Escalation named Malkarian. And when you defeat Malkarian, you are able to craft its gear. This Ultra armor is Malkarian's armor, but it has some cool glowing effects on the spikes and stuff. It's actually a different recolor as well, but there is a glow effects, and you also get a flagstaff and a lantern skin. So you get power boosts, patrol chests, extra amp options, and yeah. So it's a lot. It's a lot. It's kind of a lot to take in. If you have any questions, definitely leave them in the comments. But let's move on with our quest line. We've done talented individual. And now, King of the Hill. Ooh. Spend 5 talent points. Equip weapons and armor. Gear power 450. So this is our next task in the story to progress in our Escalation. And this is preparing us for the hard mode. At 450, we'll be able to take on the hard mode where Malkarian dwells. Now, we did an Escalation after drafting all our bounties. And you can see that, hey, we kind of cashed in a little bit, right? And this is another thing that Escalation's really good at. We'll do Slay Behemoths with sword and axe. We'll do Brighter Days. And we'll do stagger damage to enraged behemoths, because why not? We've leveled up. I guess we have not leveled up, even though it says hunt pass level up right there. Who knows? Who knows this game? So we've actually completed the Maelstrom effect from just running that escalation. So that's just lucky. That is something that we can do. I'm sure we have some cores from all of our mastery and quest completes and all sorts of nonsense. So let's go do that. We have 4 cores total. You can see the value of running just one escalation. The potential value, right? We're going back and doing all the stuff that we've needed to do in the quest lines and just kind of like, you know, cleaning up the loose ends. +2 molten, that's very nice. That will be a great asset to when we upgrade our Scorchstone gear. All right, we got a few things. We got that +1 conditioning I'm looking at. That +2 molten, it was a nice come up. But we're chilling. And I think we're ready to push onward to not only 450, but we'll probably go off, and at this point of the quest line, we've done our escalation run. We realized the value of it. We're probably going to keep running it because it gives us a lot of stuff. At least do it to get to +5 and see where you're at. Like +5 talent points, I should say. Level 5 in escalation. And that's what we'll be working towards in the next couple of videos. But and see where you're at in your progression at that point. And then we'll probably go back and farm up orbs. We're going to need to do patrols and stuff, because that's the one thing that escalation does not give you, is a lot of orbs. And so that's where we're going to conclude this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I love escalation. It's so fun for me. But this is great practice, right? The game is, you know, Dauntless is giving you the part breaks and the value, and hopefully you're just having a lot of fun running around fighting multiple behemoths at a time. You know, you're basically getting a bunch of hunts done simultaneously without having to go back to Ramsgate, craft up, you know, do it all over again. Hopefully the slog is a little bit more fast-paced and it feels a little bit more like a game. But that is it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to support the channel, you can leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and use creator code RevvyRad in the Dauntless in-game store or the Epic Games store. I stream on Twitch. You can follow me there in the description down below. And yeah, that'll do it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you on the Shattered Isles.